In the past 2 years, I've probably drinking alcohol less than 24 times. And the most common question I get at my masterminds or at my events is why? So I'm pretty much putting together this video to answer that question. I'm going to share with you what alcohol does to your body, my personal experiences with alcohol on my family side, and then the reasons why I don't drink it today. And then finally, I'm going to wrap it up with what I recommend for you if maybe you've been considering about stopping drinking alcohol but haven't done it yet. Let me tell you, this video will also be massively helpful if you're an entrepreneur or a soon-to-be entrepreneur and you also take your health seriously or you work out like I do 6 days a week. Make sure you stay until the end. So first of all, from a non-doctor, non-professional perspective, let me walk you through just some of the things that alcohol does to your body. One of the biggest things that alcohol does to your body that almost everybody recognizes immediately is it sedates your prefrontal cortex. And your prefrontal cortex is where all of your decision making comes from. It's where judgments come from. It's where you're able to make decisions or restrain yourself from making bad decisions. If all of a sudden that area becomes sedated, meaning that it's not as active, that's why a lot of you might feel a little more loosey-goosey when you're out and you have a couple of vodka waters or vodka tonics and you go out and able to walk up to that girl or guy that you've always wanted to, or you go out and do some stupid stuff like I did in college. Now, while that alone got me into enough trouble, one of the things that people don't realize is that sedation can actually linger on to the next day. So that's why in the next morning when you wake up, you decide to sleep in a little bit. Maybe you don't do your morning routine. Maybe you don't work out. Maybe you eat a little bit more unhealthy. You know, it's just like this cascade of bad decisions that come and come and come and come. And for me, that is one of the biggest reasons why I stopped, which I'll get to in here in a little bit. But it was like, it wasn't just that one night of me drinking alcohol and bad decisions there. It was what had happened from the following day or 2 days, the decision-making process that came from my sedated prefrontal cortex. If you're into fitness and health like I am, the other downside of alcohol is the way that your body breaks it down. So let's say you go out for a night drinking and then the next day you want to get right back on your workout routine. Well, the downside of that is how your body breaks down energy. And actually, let's say that you go out and you have, pizza the next day and you eat ice cream the night before, you have late night food from drinking. The next morning when you go to work out, your body's not actually consuming the energy from the pizza and food and all that stuff and helping you process that and break it down. It's going to go straight for the easiest source of energy, which is actually from the alcohol. So what happens is you end up burning off the alcohol, which you might think is a good thing. But if you're trying to lose weight, like shed body fat and remain cut and lean, then you'll end up storing all of that extra food that you ate likely as fat. And I personally really noticed that back in college, and even the occasional time where I'm drinking maybe for 1 or 2 days, like my face will get bloated, my arms will get bloated, I'll just get less cut and I'll just be in the worst shape of my life. Now, the final major downside of alcohol that I'm going to cover in this video is really probably the most important one and the one that I care the most about. And it's the way that alcohol affects your sleep, specifically your REM sleep. So for those of you that don't know, REM sleep is your most restorative sleep. It's like actually how you feel awake and refreshed in the morning. It's how you're able to process thoughts and create memories and actually remember things, recall things from days previous is from that REM sleep. So it's the most important sleep. And studies have shown that alcohol massively sedates the amount of REM sleep that you're able to get. To illustrate how bad alcohol can affect your REM sleep and thus affect your memory, scientists did an experiment a few years ago where they got a bunch of college students together and they taught them a new artificial language. It was kind of like computer code is essentially what it was. And on the end of the first day of them teaching these students the language, 90% of them passed a test that tested how well they could recall it. So at that point, the college students were split up into 3 groups. The first group was allowed to sleep 7 nights with no alcohol and get their typical amount of sleep. The second group of students actually had to drink alcohol that night. So the end of the first day where they learned this new skill set, they had to drink, I think it was a few shots of vodka, maybe some orange juice that night, and then they didn't drink anything for the rest of the nights. And then the third group of students actually got 2 good nights of sleep in, and then on the third night, those participants actually drank the same amount of alcohol that the other group did, a few shots of vodka, some orange juice, and then they were allowed to go to bed. What was crazy about this experiment was that in 7 days, those same students, those same 3 different groups were tested on that same skill set once again. And the first group passed with a 90% rate. So the one that didn't have any alcohol passed at a 90% rate. The second group, who drank alcohol the first night but never again, passed at a 50% rate. And then the craziest thing was the third group, the one that had alcohol on the third night, passed the test at a 40% rate. So that means that literally the alcohol and the effect that it had on the REM sleep and memory dropped almost 50% of the memory for the people that drank alcohol that week. So for those of you that are in college or maybe starting businesses or learning a new skill, that means you could literally learn something on Wednesday, not have any alcohol Thursday, not have any alcohol Friday, and then Saturday decide to go out and have a few shots with your friends. And the following week, you would likely have a 50% chance or 50% less likely chance of remembering that skill set that you learned on Wednesday. If that's not insane, I really don't know what is. So with some of the negative effects that alcohol has on your health, let me talk about my personal experience with alcohol and why I actually don't drink it. So there are really two main reasons, and the first one actually has to do with my family. Unfortunately, my family, like a lot of families out there, have a history of substance abuse. I'm not going to go crazy into it in this video here because it is kind of private, but just know that for the majority of my life, I have experienced people around me having massive dependency issues and substance abuse issues. That means that I've literally seen firsthand alcohol break down someone's mental health, break down someone's physical health, and also destroy relationships around that person as well. After going through that kind of experience myself, I swore that I would never be that dependent or put somebody else through something similar. So that being said, life is life, and I'm not going to sit here on some pedestal and tell you guys that I never drank a drop of alcohol again. Actually, my 4 years while I was in college, I was in a fraternity, and I drank probably 5, 6, sometimes even literally 7 nights a week out with my friends. I mean, we would just get literally obliterated with alcohol. And then because we were young and I thought college was pretty easy, we're like Wolverine, I would wake up the next day with really little like repercussions or hangover. So I just kept on doing it again and again. So then the reason that actually caused me to finally really stop drinking alcohol was once I graduated college and I decided I wanted to go into law school, I knew that I needed to study for it. And so in order to actually give myself a really great chance, I told myself that just while I was studying for the test, I was not going to have any alcohol. I mean, I was spending 8 to 10 hours a day, 6 days a week studying for the law school admission test. On top of that, I was taking my dad to and from chemo and radiation. And so I really just literally didn't even have time to do it. And in addition to that, I wasn't working a job. So I didn't have the money to also drink alcohol. So what happened next was actually kind of interesting. I didn't stop drinking alcohol because of a YouTube video or because I did the research on the health effects. I know all of that now, but back then I really just did it because I couldn't afford it and I had to study for law school. But within a few weeks, some of the positive effects that I was seeing on myself and the people around me were massive. I was sleeping better, getting up earlier in the morning, feeling more restored, having better workouts, looking better, getting in better shape. I was happier. I was more curious. I was more willing to learn new things. I all of a sudden had like an extra few hours every single day. I was having more meaningful relationships. I mean, literally the list can go on and on. All in all, it was about 1 year that I did not drink 1 drop of alcohol while I was studying for law school and taking care of my dad. And it was so great that at the end of the year, when I decided I wasn't going to go to law school, I still decided I wasn't going to drink anymore. And let me tell you, it was actually really hard. I mean, for an entire year, I had something that kept me busy, which was studying for law school. But then between when I decided not to go to law school and I started my business, there was this time where I was falling back into some of the old friends that I had before who just loved to go out and drink all the time. And I caught myself out at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Everybody was drinking, pre-gaming at the bar. And it was like, I knew that if I kept on going down this hole, this kind of like path with all of these friends, I would just 100% drink. There was no way I couldn't do it. So I removed myself from that environment, and that meant cutting off some of my oldest friends and going down a new path. And it wasn't like when I decided to do this, all of a sudden I jumped into my business and all of a sudden I had a bunch of friends that I could go and have support me. No, it was really lonely and really hard for a while, but still I was experiencing all the benefits of not drinking alcohol. So I knew that it was going to be worth it in the end if I just kept stuck with it. As many of you who watch my channel know, what happened next was I essentially decided to start a business because I had all this free time and I was spending all this time like developing myself. And I learned that entrepreneurship was one of the best personal development journeys anybody could go on. And because I honestly think I had all this extra time, all this extra energy, more memory, like I felt better, I was happier. I think that's honestly what made me more successful in business than a lot of my competitors. It's really what allowed me to make millions of dollars before the age of 26. You know, I have 30 plus employees, we have thousands of clients, and I really attribute a lot of it to the fact that I don't drink alcohol. I mean, just remember back to that experiment I talked about earlier. If some of my competitors are out there and they're drinking alcohol 1 or 2 nights a week and I'm not drinking at all, there's no way they're going to be able to catch up with me because I'm just on this slide edge up that's going like this. Pay attention, people. This is especially true if you're an entrepreneur. That means that literally if you're starting a business, you are the most valuable thing inside of your company, right? So let's say that you were a car, right? Well, that means that you would put shitty oil in your car and shitty gas in your car, and every single Friday or Saturday, just drive it through a bunch of potholes and through a bunch of mud. And then the next week be like, all right, let's, go right back to normal. Most likely not. So you need to also treat you, the entrepreneur, as an asset as well. And so that's what I also learned was that, hey, I need to spend more time caring about my sleep, caring about what I eat, caring about, what kind of workouts I do, my mobility, my flexibility, how long I'm going to live, how long I'm going to be able to use my brain, all of the things that I can do to increase that so that I can have a competitive advantage over my competition. And on top of that, I can just live a more fulfilled life. Hey, real quick, if you guys are enjoying this video, please just smash the like button and hit subscribe. It would mean a lot to me, and it does an incredible amount for the YouTube algorithm so more people can see this video if they're thinking about stopping drinking alcohol. So with all of that being said, let's be honest, ladies and gentlemen, things happen in life. And I'm not saying you never have to drink alcohol again. I'm the best man at my brother's wedding. He's getting married in a month in Italy. I'm sure I'm going to drink there. I'm hosting his bachelor party in a few weeks in Costa Rica. I'm sure I'm going to drink there as well. So I'm not perfect. That's not the point of this video here. But what I want to tell you is that I've pretty much learned that if I can control my alcohol urges and I can not drink like 99% of the time, then that 1% of the time that I decide to go out for my brother's bachelor party, for my, buddy's birthday in Mexico, if we go to Cabo San Lucas, whatever else it is, if I decide to drink that 1% of the time, I can go all out on that and I can really enjoy myself, and I can obviously have to deal with the consequences the next day, but it doesn't absolutely destroy me. And it's not like that's going to keep me on a negative downward slope that keeps me from growing. Now, luckily, I found a group of friends that literally when we go out or we travel places, nobody drinks alcohol. I mean, like if we go to a South American country, that the waiters will literally be trying to shove alcohol down our throat and we all won't have any. So I've been really grateful that I've had a great support group for that. But I can understand that if you're going out, especially with your old friends, and you're not drinking alcohol and you're just standing around with your hands like this and they're all cheersing, it can be a little awkward. So one of the things that I did, especially in the very beginning, you've probably heard this before, was I just drank soda with a lime in it. I mean, like literally a soda water with a lime in it in a glass. And 99% of the time, nobody had any idea that I wasn't drinking alcohol. And, I'm not saying that you have to care about what other people think, but there is we as human beings, science has shown that we care about what our community thinks of us. And so I understand that if you're trying to make this transition, I just want to recommend to you, it might be a good idea to maybe have a glass of soda water or, soda with a lime in it, and nobody would ever know the difference. Finally, I just want to call you out on your bullshit. If you've been trying to start a business, if you have been overweight, if you've been trying to lose weight, if you've been trying to get in shape, if you're trying to make more meaningful relationships, and you're still drinking alcohol 1, 2, sometimes 3 nights a week, I really want to challenge you to stop doing that. Stop doing it for literally 30 days and just see what happens. If I'm totally wrong, you can go right back to doing it again. But likely you spent the past few years drinking alcohol every single weekend and you know what that's brought you. So why not test something new and try to not drink alcohol and see what that could bring you? If you guys have any interesting experiences with not drinking alcohol, I think it would be really supportive. You can comment down below and let other people know. So that way, if they're watching this video and they're thinking about doing it, your comment might be the reason why they stop. Finally, be sure to smash the like button and hit subscribe. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. You should check out this other video that's coming up right here on the graph that totally changed my life. I'll see you guys in the next video.
Let's get scratching.
Bye.